So today's dive is on a ship called the Spiegel Grove. It was a large Navy ship, launched in 1955. It was 500 feet long and 85 feet wide, and it had a crew of like 320 people. It was huge. Um, in around 2000, year 2000, they stripped it down. Florida acquired it. They stripped it down and then they sunk it to make it an artificial reef. And as they were sinking it, it kind of flipped over onto its side, and then it completely rolled over. And then that's how it sat with the bow out of the water in 130 feet of water. So they had to bring in a salvage group, and then those guys, they managed to flip it, and then it landed on its side like that. So it sat on its side, and then it sat on its side for a long time until a hurricane came. Well, it wasn't a long time, it was a few years. And then a hurricane came through, and it rolled the ship back on to its keel, so it was straight up and down. And now it's turned into a really, really stellar dive site. Yeah, really great. Yeah, so yeah, you just go down a mooring line, and here you are over the boat. It's really incredible. Yeah, I did my best to film this well. I'm no expert filmmaker, that's for sure. It's only been down there 20 years, and it's just completely covered in sponges. There's not a surface that's not covered in sponges. Yeah, and there's a barjack, that fish kind of swimming there. Yeah. Yeah, they're often swimming in the open water is a schooling fish, but he's down here. Yeah, and then those blue and yellow, those little ones, those are Spanish hogfish. Yeah. Yeah, so I learned some lessons filming this one about lighting. Oh, and there's a type of hogfish, that big one swimming by. And then those two things are divers. Yeah, there's some bicolor damselfish. They just live in amongst the sponges. I learned some lessons about lighting and stuff like that. So in an upcoming video, I actually acquired a light, a nice dive light. I splurged, and it really, really drastically improves the colors. So going forward, there's going to be a lot better colors. But anyways, on this was the dive that made me realize I need a light. I need lights to light stuff up properly. So what's happening is at 100 feet, you're losing almost all the red light because it's absorbed by the water. And, oh, there's a shark. Yeah, we saw sharks on this one. That was really cool. I didn't even see him coming until he was gone, basically. Yeah. Yeah, this ship, man, it's just massive. I'm swimming down the side, and they had this big holding bay off to the left, kind of, and they have like these hoists that went over it. Yeah. Oh, there's another shark. Got a glimpse of him. Yeah, so that's a Caribbean reef shark. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, they're I was reading about them. There's 24 instances of them biting humans, and they've never killed anybody, so I wouldn't consider them dangerous. I suppose if you were bleeding and they were all fired up because there was they were eating, they might come at you, but they're not anything to worry about as far as what I've read about them. Yeah. Oh, this was a good shot here. He just swam. Look at him, he just comes right by. I would say he's probably about 6 feet long. He or she, 6 feet long. I think if I got into a wrestling match with it, it would be about the size of me. Yeah. Yeah, and so right now we're over the back of the boat, and now we're turning towards the bow, and there's that big hole is the kind of the holding area, because this ship was like a docking ship, so it could carry all kinds of equipment and up to 300 enlisted soldiers too. Yeah, it's just huge. It's a really impressive dive. If you're ever in the Key Largo area, it's definitely worth doing. There's no doubt. I'll go back again because I only dove the outside of the boat, right? I just swam around. I stayed at about 100 feet, and I just stayed on the upper part of the boat and on the outside. And you can, there's Amanda showing off. And yeah, so now we're heading towards the bow of the boat, towards where the conning tower would have been and like the bridge. Yeah. So, anyways, what I was trying to say is, if you get properly trained and have the right equipment, you can like go into the ship and explore it, and there's just all kinds of things to see there. But however, I wouldn't enter the ship without the right equipment and the proper training, because a number of people have died on the Spiegel since it was sunk. I think, if I remember correctly, I think 8 or 9 people have drowned. You can Google it and read about it yourself, but 8 or 9 people have died on this thing, entering it and then getting lost, right? And then not only do they die, but then their bodies need to be recovered. And so they put the people at risk too, who have to rescue them, right? Yeah. No, there's a whole world of technical diving that you can get into on the Spiegel. It's just a really great place to go diving, I tell you. Yeah, so we're just heading along the kind of the southern side of the ship towards the bow next to the bridge. And all these holes you see in the deck, those were cut, I believe, for divers to enter the ship, right? Yeah, and so here's from the front of the bridge out over the bow. The water clarity was really, really good that day, and you could see, not quite in the film, but in person, you could see all the way to the bow of the ship. And I would say it must have been 100 feet away, so it was excellent. Excellent day. I would recommend, when you go diving on it, not to to watch, if you have the luxury. So I was staying in the Key Largo area for quite a while, so I waited for a good weather day with no current, and it made for just stellar conditions, right? I've heard stories of this particular dive site in stiff current being very difficult to dive on. Oh, this was cool. I just came around the corner, and there's this guy just coming right at me, and I was like, ah. Then I just started thinking, I'm like, just film it, man. Just don't screw this up. Film it good. Your camera's on? Okay, good. Just be steady. Film it good. Look at that fishing line, hanging out of his mouth. Yeah, poor guy's got a hook just stuck. And someone must have been fishing, and they hooked him, and they probably, got it up to the boat and realized it's a pretty big shark, and they just kind of cut the line and turned him loose. And he doesn't seem any worse for wear for it, but it can't be great to have a hook in your mouth. Here's a better view of it right here. Yeah, these snapper, they just swim along with them, and they kind of rub on them too if you watch. Yeah, see that? Yeah. It was this shark, filming this shark and looking at it later, where I realized I need proper lighting, because it looks all washed out and gray, right? And that's because I'm losing so much red. So I have to add the red. I need lights. And so, yeah, after this dive, I went and bought a splurge, man, on a high-end light. And then when I got one more dive with the light, and the video is really great. And so now I'm going to splurge on a second one, and I'll just have this whole apparatus. It'll just look ridiculous. So I'll have this apparatus with these lights, and oh man, it's going to be silly. But anyways, what you got to do, right? Yeah, there's a blue tang. He's just swimming along. Bunch of sponges, loads of sponges. They just covered every surface. That's a trumpet fish. Yeah, and he's a predator. And there's a queen angelfish swimming along. Yeah, and so now we're just heading back down, sort of heading towards the mooring line now to head back up. I believe these are gun emplacements, but the guns aren't there. But I'm no expert. I could be wrong about that, but it just made for an interesting object to swim and look at and check out. And the fish enjoyed it too. It's really cool how they sink these things out and basically where there's just sand. So it's previously a desert essentially. And they sink this ship there and now they've got this thriving coral reef, right? It's really cool stuff. It's money well spent. Yeah, money well spent, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, I wish I was a better filmmaker, I tell you. I was trying to give a sense of the scale of this, like this tower that sat on the, I believe the port side, kind of midway down. Yeah, and there's the fish in the surface. That's what 100 feet of water looks like, if you were wondering. Yeah. Yeah, so the dive's coming to an end pretty well, and we're just making our way over to the mooring line, and I was just trying to get just the last shots, you know? Yeah, I really find it fun to film this stuff. It's really enjoyable. And I just hope, I'm always hoping that's going to be good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just nothing was here before. Hey, just sand, and now they've just got these sponges and reefs, or corals, I mean, and they've created a reef, right? And there's fish and sharks, and sometimes you see turtles here, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. Here we are. We're just heading back, so the video's pretty much over. Yeah, Amanda's boarding the ship. Yeah, we use this dive operator quite a lot. They're good guys, so... Yeah, anyhow, that's Spiegel Grove. I recommend the dive. If you have any questions or comments or anything, yeah, feel free to ask and I will address it. So have a nice day and I'll see you later.